Hello friends, hi everybody, I'm Sanyukta Saxena back again. I'm a certified Zentangle teacher and in today's session we'll be learning another Zentangle original pattern. I had already posted a teaser on my Facebook page. In case you are still not following the page, it is Sanyukta Zentangle, the same name as my YouTube channel. And today we'll be learning the pattern striping. Striping is a purely line-based pattern. I personally didn't like it ever because my favorites are organic patterns, patterns which are more inspired from the nature, leafy, flowery. But as I started to practice the pattern, I realized that it is a pattern which has a lot of potential. It is highly underrated. So let us see a few tiles where I use the pattern, and I have already posted some of these tiles. So this is a pattern with pure striping, right? So one of the things that I observed is if you have an interesting string and you arrange the lines in such a fashion that they are in different directions in each of the sections of that string, the look of the pattern is really different or beautiful, right? So this is again a tile, just a touch of striping, and I have put in some colors there with my jelly roll. This is another pattern tile which I chose to show because Indirella is a pattern which is a perfect example of the pattern striping. These are basically called auras, but they are nothing but stripes, you know, because they are lines which are equidistant from each other, and they never intersect each other, so might as well call them stripes. So Indirella is a pattern, an example of a pattern which is based on another pattern called striping, right? So you can arrange these stripes in any fashion. Again, a simple tile with some organic tangles and the stripes, right? So today we'll draw another tile using the pattern striping. When I say striping is a purely line based pattern, I just mean that you draw any string, right? This is a section, and then I divide this into sections using a string, any string, and then I start drawing lines, right, inside those sections that I created using the string, right? Just ensure that the lines are drawn in such a fashion that every time you draw it, they don't seem to be an extension of the already existing lines in the previous section that you drew, right? So I'm changing the direction of the lines in each section so that they look different from each other, sometimes going under, sometimes going over, right? So again, I'm going to draw the lines in this fashion. They're simple lines, equidistant from each other, plain line, curved lines, depending on the section that I have created randomly through a string. And then again, this section I can stripe it this way. So what I'm doing is actually striping the sections, and then I'm just going to ink them to get a look. And shading adds a lot to the look of the pattern striping. It is again a drama tangle because it will have bold inked portions. So just to show you an example, so I have striped it, right? And then I'm going to pick up my 08 and then ink alternate sections or alternate double lines, just like we do in Banzo or many other patterns. So leave one in between and then ink the next, right? So I'm just going to follow the lines the way they are, ink them alternatively in pairs, just like we have stripes. Don't have to worry about the perfection of the lines, they can be curved, just that I generally don't see them merging or emanating from one point when I'm striping. They are generally equidistant from each other. So the two things that add to the look of the pattern, as I mentioned earlier, is a good string and to ensure that you change the direction of the stripes every time you choose a new section, right? So I'm going to do that exercise. It will take a little bit of time. So you can see here I've inked the stripes, right? So this is how it looks like after inking, and then just add some graphite at the intersections. The pencil is too sharp. So if you want to shade well, make sure that the pencil that you're using is not too sharp, right? So I'm adding some graphite at the edges just to show you, give you an idea of how it would look like, just simple stripes and nothing else, right? So we'll now blend it. So striping has bold inking involved, so you need to give it little time. Don't try to smudge, you'll end up damaging the paper if you do it immediately after you have inked, right? So I'm trying to avoid the inked portions and just smudging the graphite that is there in between, right, that I put at the edges. Just blending that, not touching the ink as far as possible because it is still wet. Just blending the graphite. So what I did was just picked up a random space, divided it into sections using a string, right, and then striped it, ensuring that each section have stripes in different directions, right? Yeah, the ink is wet at places, so it is damaging my scrapbook. So you can now see how beautiful it is looking with the shading, just pure lines and nothing else, right? So this is the pattern striping. Looks very dramatic, adds instant drama to your tile. So I'm now going to be drawing a Zentangle in front of you. So there is a simple, if you can see, it's a simple string. It's like an 8 here and 2 humps on the sides, right? So I'm going to start the pattern striping inside it. So what I'm going to do is start somewhere here and draw lines distant to each other, right? So I'm going to fill up this section. You can, if you want, ink the string because you want to define the area where you want these stripes to be. So it's okay to ink the string. Right. So I'm going to continue drawing these lines in this fashion. Right. Right, so done with one section, and then we'll pick up the other section, and I'm going to draw the lines in this fashion. just to make sure that the two sections have lines in different directions. So the shading gives a lot of effect to it. Sometimes going under, sometimes going over. That high and low effect comes with shading if the lines are drawn in different directions in each of the sections. So that's a small catch. But even if you don't do that, I'm sure it will look nice. Right? And then there are two more sections here. Let us first stripe them and then I'm going to ink them all. Right? So this section probably I'll start like this. Right? So whichever way your hand is more comfortable, please rotate your tile constantly for ease of hand position. So I'm going to continue like this. So we're just drawing lines here, straight lines, curved lines, right? And this one again I am going to start like this, just the way I did the other side. It's okay if the lines are not perfect. They are not meant to be. Right, so just continue drawing the stripes. So I have done my line work. I'm now going to start inking, right? So I'll pick up my 08 here and start to ink. You can also leave a highlight if you wish, but I personally think white charcoal would be a better option. So I'm going to now ink each of these sections just the way I showed you earlier, an example, right? So 08 has a wider nib, so it's always a better option to pick up your PN or an 08 or a graphic one for inking bold sections. And give the ink little time to dry up. Don't start shading immediately. I'm going to do one section here, and then you can take your time and finish the rest in case you're drawing with me. So a little difference from Bunzo. Generally the lines and stripes are not touching each other, they are equidistant, somewhat equidistant from each other. Generally don't cross each other or don't merge, right? So I may draw one more line here so that the end is not a plain line but a stripe, right? Yeah, so I'll do the same exercise throughout.